AEW. Not a lot. Just enough to remind me why I don't watch it. Oh, this is already funny. Just the headline. The list of moves and actions that are now banned from AEW or need to be approved by the company.
Maybe that's why Nash is pissed off, because he went for Brock and Austin and not try to duplicate him.
Well, it'd be easier to duplicate him. You only have to learn 5 moves.
Like you said, and we've all been saying, Tony Khan, you need a hierarchy, and he gets one, and then we make fun of it.
Because he's sitting back there talking about the Brock match, and it's finally we had a wrestling match. Finally, we got 2 guys telling a story. They weren't outside in the ring the whole time. One of them
was he not watching the same match as we were?
Yeah, those games, man. I would say, like, for me, like the best ones, I would say are like the ones where they try to get a certain like time.
This is my entire IT team right here on screen. Everybody. Hello there, everybody, and welcome back to the Nation Network. Vince McSham with you here. You get a clue what we're going to be talking about, but not yet. Before we get to the Iron Claw, I want to talk about the WWE and their writing team. How about that? So, I've been knocking AEW quite a bit, not between their writing and their in-ring antics, we'll call it. This, for me, crosses a different kind of line. I mean, when you talk about things that are in bad taste. So I'm watching NXT last week, and you got Ridge Holland going up against Ilya Dragunov. And the way the match ends, if you haven't seen it, I mean, at this point, it's a week old, so spoiler alert, be what it is. Ilya gets dropped on his head. Awkwardly, it looks like. And they play off an angle, and I'm going to give them credit where credit is due. Everyone involved did a phenomenal job of making me believe that that was legit. All the way up until the very end. The in-ring portion of it, completely believable. Landed, looked pretty rough on the landing. He went into this paralyzed type thing where his arm was contorted and his hand was kind of twisted up and things like that. And Ridge was trying to come over and go for a cover or something like that. Referee shoved him off. Then Ridge sees he's hurt and sells that. Gets upset because, not the first time, right? Excuse me. Ends up taking his elbow pad off, throwing it down in frustration because he's pissed. And the medical team doesn't come out very quickly. It's the referees that come out first. So that was my first, wait a minute. Meantime, you got Ilya over here breathing, like really struggling to get air and grunting and moaning. Again, Academy Award performances by everyone involved. They finally get a couple of guys out there. Could be doctors, anything's possible. They put the cervic collar on. They get the backboard, get him on there, scooch him out onto the gurney, start rolling him up the ramp. And that's when you notice that they put the championship belt over his midsection, as if that would happen in a real scenario like that. And of course, as they're going through the curtain, it goes straight to the little end credit there. So my first belief on this angle was it was legit until that part. And now I'm like watching that going, oh, no, you didn't just go there. And now it turns out from everything that we're hearing is that it was a work. It wasn't an actual injury that took place. Look, I get it. You have matches where to keep a feud going, somebody gets hurt, carried out on a stretcher. I got no problem with any of that. What I do have a problem with is the fact that they're doing it at the expense of not just Ridge Holland, but of Big E. Unless, and this is the only way this will be okay with me, unless this introduces the return of Big E. But I somehow doubt that. So instead, what you're telling me is that you are going to market Ridge Holland as a guy who just hurts people, carelessly hurts people. How does that help the company? How does that help Ridge Holland? How does that help Ilya Dragunov? It doesn't. It's incredibly poor taste. I hate it. I hate everything about it. I think it's complete bullshit, and shame on them for doing that. I put that up there with Katie Vick, and that's still my barometer, my measuring stick for the worst taste thing in the history of wrestling. In one of the major promotions. I could be talking about CGW or GCW all day long. Forget that crap. I'm talking about between WWE, WWF, WCW. I'll even throw AEW in there as a major promotion. Nobody has done anything more tasteless in my book, aside from Katie Vick, than this. If again, unless somehow this ties into Big E, I somehow doubt it very seriously. All right, I am going to post the link here. I think I am anyway. Hold on. There it is. There's the link, whether you're watching on Twitter or YouTube. You can hop on, be part of the conversation. Let me know what you're thinking about when it comes to this. Of course, we also have the folks in the chat room, and they're going to work already. So we got Juan's back. Retro's back. Thank you guys for being here. Primetime's in the house. Walter Johnson is here. Welcome aboard. Happy holidays to everybody. Riz Player TV. Here's a name I didn't recognize. Unfortunately, we don't promote other channels here unless I'm already familiar with them. Oh, that's okay, man. Or Retro, whenever you can, next time we'll do it. Meantime, anybody else wants to jump on, you'll be in the green screen. You'll be in the green room, and I'll see you in the back screen. So I will get you on as quickly as possible. But in the meantime, even if you can't join us here, let me know what you're thinking. Iron Claw looks good. You want to see it? Well, I don't know if you saw my review on it already, but we're going to talk about a few things here in just a moment. Prime time, yeah, I'm in the same boat. I thought it was a horrible idea and bad storyline. And it does sound like something out of 2K that they would do because they shit the bed on a regular basis. That's what they're good at. And again, it's not the injury storyline I have a problem with. It's the fact that they're using Ridge to do it. And that they're going to be running with the story of like, well, you have a habit of doing this now. I just don't, man, he should have said no to that. I know you don't say no, but yeah, he should have said no. I'd like to think I would have said no in his place, but I'm not in his place, so I can't say. What you going to try? Oh, you're going to try and join in? Okay. Yeah, you know what? We can talk about that too, Walter, because I'll tell you, it was really cool. I thought I didn't get all the way through it yet, but everything that I have seen so far, like the first hour almost, I was like, hey, number one, sometimes you get lost in all this week to week stuff and forget just how much shit they accomplished in 52 weeks. It has been a great year for the WWE. You can't say anything different about that. Now the question is, where do you go from here? And I gotta believe it's only up because look at what they've done in the last month of the year. They're going to come out guns blazing, and WrestleMania is going to be off the friggin' charts. All right, you know how I hate sitting here talking to myself. So let's see who we can get involved in here, ladies and gentlemen. You know who this one is my sidekick, my partner in crime. He's the one, he's the only, J-Rocks. How you doing?
I'm
I can't even see
doing.
your-
How you
Oh,
doing?
there it is. I'm okay. You growing it out a little bit, it looks like. Can you hear me? You're starting to freeze up, man. I thought you had your internet woes taken care of. Oh, now it's working. Well,
There we go. It's been a while. I had to make sure I had all the settings right.
okay, maybe that's what it was. All right, your thoughts on the Ridge Holland bullshit?
I guess I get why they did it. I mean, they've done injury stuff in the past. Yes, it is a sensitive subject, like you said, with everything that happened with Big E and stuff like that. I hope they don't make this a regular thing with him. Like you said, make him out to be just this guy who injures people in the ring. I hope they got somewhere else to go with it. But like you said, until it actually plays out a little bit more, I guess I'm okay with it until we see. Now, if they go that route and then he just starts hurting people in the ring just to hurt them, then I'm not going to have. I won't like that angle of it. Let's put it that way.
And again, if this would have been a regular wrestling injury where the guy is like, just down and holding his neck and they bring the collar out and all that stuff like they did in the old days, or holding his arm and being, I'd have been fine with it. But man, he went into that convulsive thing with the arm all locked up and the breathing.
Right.
I mean, again, I give him top scores for performance because man, he sold the shit out of that.
Oh yeah, and the only thing that let me know that it was a work was the fact that they didn't throw up the X. The fact that they didn't do this let me know it was a work. That's the only thing. If they'd have done that on top of it, I would have swore up and down that it was legit at that point.
Well, for me, what did it was the fact that they put the belt on him on the gurney, and then literally as he went through the curtain, the little end credit came up on the screen. I was like, "Oh, perfect timing!"
Perfect timing. Right.
So, yeah, that was it for me. But the fact that you had me for 10 minutes, and not just because it was an injury angle. I mean, people fake injuries in wrestling; it's part of the game. This was different, man. This is something serious. It's something that actually happened to another guy not that long ago at the hands of Ridge. And that's the biggest problem. You could have done this exact same spot with anybody else, and it would have been not so bad.
And then I think that's the thing.
Part, but the fact that you're doing it with Ridge, which is basically, I just can't. I can't get behind that.
I think that's what made it work, though, is the fact that it was him, and you're like, "Oh shit, again."
True.
I mean, that's the first thing that ran through my head, because not only Ilya, Ridge sold that shit over in the corner too. Like, why is it always fucking me? Why is it me? And I was like, holy shit! I like you said, for about the first 10 minutes of that whole thing, I'm going, what the fuck? What's the chances, honestly?
I don't know, but maybe somebody else has an answer. Let's find out. Retro Wrestling Network in the house.
This is the first time I'm actually using StreamYard for something else.
What's that?
This is the first time I'm using it for a different stream. So.
Check it out.
Yep.
Very cool.
It seems to be working.
I can hear you, so it's working.
Oh, you guys can hear me fine? Thank God.
Absolutely. Yep.
Sharing that up.
So what are you thinking about Ridge Holland?
Honestly, from what I've heard about it, I have not had a chance to watch NXT in a while because, as I said weeks ago, I lost Sling TV because I forgot to pay on it. So I missed out on watching a lot of wrestling, except for like SmackDown, which is still on Fox. So, but from what y'all guys are telling me, that's a really dumb angle to do. I mean, that's just like really stupid. If they decide to do like another crippler angle, like say he goes around, starts hurting people just for the shits of it, it's like, what's the point? Like, it's just tasteless.
That's a good word. That really is a good word. That sums up how I felt when I realized I got duped, number one, which, again, I don't have a problem with that. That's great acting on y'all's part. You guys pulled that off as well as anyone could possibly do. But, man, that's just not the right thing to do. It's wrong.
It's not like this has been done before in wrestling. It's not like this hasn't been done before. It's just, do we really need it right now? Not really.
Right.
Yeah, I kind of.
I think the only other thing that bothered me about it was you had Ridge just show up there with no explanation of why he walked out on Butch or anything like that. So it's like you split up a team, and you've got neither one of them given a reason why they split up. So that I don't like that. I need answers.
Like AEW's writing.
Yeah,
I know.
Much. Yeah,
kind of pisses me off.
I mean, I hate that trope in wrestling. It's like, let's take a popular tag team and then split them up. I don't like that. It's like,
well, they've been a team for a long time, though. I wouldn't say it wasn't their time to get split up.
No, but you got to give a reason why he walked out.
Right.
It wasn't like he hurt Butch or anything. That would have at least played into the storyline on fucking Tuesday, is if he would have hurt Butch and then walked away, and then he shows up there and hurts Ilya. At least you've got a connection between the two. Here you just got him, fuck it, I don't want to wrestle with you anymore. I'm going to walk out on you and not give any reason why.
To me, that sounds really lazy for the storytelling.
Yeah.
And they
lazy fucking.
Yeah, you can hear Cornette echoing. Well, it is what it is, I guess. You got to deal with that. But, oh, man, I'll tell you what. Dwight Race is in the house. Welcome aboard. All right. That's really all I had on that. Somebody did bring something up in the chat that's worth chatting about. You guys familiar with what just happened in the last 24 hours with Chris Jericho and Steven?
Oh, yeah.
The attorney?
Yeah.
Oh, I'll tell you what. Some people just got to learn to shut the fuck up. For those of you not aware, and I got a feeling everybody in this chat is, Jericho on Christmas morning, 4 a.m. Eastern time.
Right.
Got into a little back and forth. I think originally, was it with Punk and then Steven got involved, or was it with him and Steven?
No, it was just him and Steven, because Steven made a comment about Jericho not saying anything because of a non-disclosure clause about the whole incident when Punk was there. Yeah. And then, of course, Jericho being Jericho decides to come right back at him, and it was fucking on after that point.
Yeah, so Jericho basically comes out and says something stupid about, I never signed an NDA. I've never had, and there's no company handbook on behavior, and I've been here for 4 years. I'm one of the originals, and I can tell you I've never got one, never seen. And then Steven responds, thank you. That'll be Exhibit A of the trial. Thank you very much. Have a Merry Christmas.
Yep. Yep. Sucker.
I mean, Tony's lawyers right now got to be taking him somewhere in the back, tying him to a chair like an old mafia movie, and slapping the shit out of him. It's unbelievable. It's like, how can you be that stupid to even be communicating with the attorney from the guys that's suing you?
Yep.
I don't know. Every time I think I've seen it hit its new record low and stupid, somebody steps up and says, hold my beer.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to switch gears here in just a moment, but before we do, got something I would like you guys to take a look at.
So my entire life, I knew that I always wanted to be able to give back and help others, especially financially, because that's something that I never really had. And around the same time that I found Camper, I got my first big YouTube paycheck of $7,000. So I decided at that point I would start Camper Cares, a charity project inspired by Camper to help animals, families, and fosters. And so Camper Cares was born, and every month since we have been donating a part of our ad revenue to animals, families, and fosters in need. Today we are at Underdog Rescue in Moab. Underdog services the Four Corners area and Navajo Nation. It is a really special area that needs constant help and attention. Recently, the median household income here is $20,000. Unemployment rate is near 50%, and around 1/3 of the homes don't even have running water or electricity. Not only that, there are stray dogs everywhere. Just in Navajo Nation, there are 250,000 stray dogs. And in the Four Corners area, around 500,000 stray animals. The worst part is the life expectancy of a res dog is only 2 years old due to the lack of food and water, the harsh elements, predators, and life-threatening injuries. So I am so thankful for rescues like Underdog, especially because there are 4 other shelters in this region, but they are high kill shelters, and 93% of those animals in there are killed. Not to mention, there are only 2 vets serving the entire Navajo Nation. This area needs our help. I am so thankful for rescues like Underdog, who are doing such amazing and important work. They really, truly deserve it all. And thank you so much to all of you for making this possible and for making my dreams come true. And just by watching, making a dent in this big problem.
All right, well, Camper got a hold of my credit card last night. You want to show him what we got him? We got you guys. I'm so excited. 1,000 pounds of dog food. Except one catch. You guys got to help me out. 1,000 pounds of dog food will last this rescue about 1 month. So let's just say we need a lot more. So if you want to help, I'm going to put some information in the description with an address where you can send it or a link where you can just get it on Amazon. But at least we got a month down. All loaded up.
Yeah, so I talked about that on the stream earlier. Some of you may have been there, and sorry if you watched it twice. But that's something that I've been watching her YouTube channel for a while. Her name's Nikki Daventhal. She used to be on, I guess she got her start, so to speak, by being one of the people on one of those bachelorette shows. I'm not sure which one, but she was on one. And she lived her life for a couple of years out of a Prius, just driving around the nation. And that was the YouTube channel, was her living life out of a Prius. And after maybe 4, 5, 7 months doing this, one time in particular, she's driving through the desert and sees something in her rearview mirror, and it's this dog running up behind her. And that is Camper, the dog that you see in the video with her. She obviously adopts this thing because nobody had a clue whose it belonged to. There was nobody. It's the middle of nowhere. There's no chip on them. And now she's got this whole thing going on. I like a lot of charities. I just don't like donating anymore because I don't trust any of them, because a lot of the times you hear once the books get opened, 80% of the money they raised went into people's salaries. That doesn't work for me. With this, all you got to do is take the address that I put in the comment, like I did, plug it into your Amazon, and once a month, if you can do it, just order a bag of dog food and send it to them. Now, if you use the link that's in, I'm not sure if it's on this video currently, but it's definitely in the other ones. If you use that link, it's going to go to the YouTube account, not the YouTube account, but the Amazon account that she's kind of set up already. And she's got some pretty expensive taste in dog food. I'll give it to her. But it's like $45 bag of food. I ain't got $45. But
Right.
I've been feeding my dogs Pedigree forever. They're 14 and a half years old. They're still as young as puppies, acting like puppies. I'm a staunch supporter of Pedigree dog food. That's what I'm sending over there. And because I have the address and I am physically buying dog food through Amazon, I know that unless these people want to eat dog food, which I don't think they do, then it's going to the dogs.
Right.
So I encourage you guys to, if you can, that would be something nice. And I've also put the link to her YouTube channel. You should give her a shout. Let her know I sent you. You'd be amazed. Even if that doesn't sound like something you'd be interested in, you watch a couple of her videos, you might get hooked because it's pretty cool. While I would love to do what she's doing, I'm not going to be doing it anytime soon, but I kind of get to live vicariously through her videos and seeing what she does. So for that alone, it's worth it to me.
Yeah. Yeah,
All
we've
right.
got, I'm in favor of those non-kill shelters. We've got one here that I'll do the same thing probably every couple of months. I'll buy a bag of cat food and dog food because they've got both there. And I can go in there anytime and see how it's being used and things like that. So yeah, I support those kind of things also.
Yeah, you can't help it. I mean, it's the dogs for the probably the most loyal animal in the world. All right, so now we're going to bring up the next thing, which is the Iron Claw. Am I the only one that has seen it in this room right now?
Yeah, I have not got to see it yet.
I don't go to theaters anymore, so I'll probably wait till it comes out on home video or DVD
Gotcha.
or Blu-ray.
Now, I generally don't go to theaters anymore either. This was one of the very rare exceptions.
I really want to see it.
Yeah, in the last 5 years, I think I've seen Avatar because the girlfriend made me go, and this.
You got dragged into it.
Avatar I got dragged into. Yeah, it's 3 hours of my life I can never get back.
Poor bastard.
It is what it is, you know. You do what you got to do to keep the peace in the house sometimes. Well, anyway, I went to go see this thing without her because I knew she would not like this. And I was right because I really didn't like it. There were moments that I liked. But am I going to go and say it's a great movie? Is this something I want to see more of? No, not really. So I did my review on this, and I'll just cover some of the bullet points. And if anyone in the chat out there has seen it, I want to know what you thought of it. Seriously, on a scale of 1 to 10, and why? Because I'm starting to feel like I'm like the only person. It's like the Emperor's clothes. Where it is. It's like it takes the one kid to say, but he's naked. Every friggin' review I'm looking at, oh my God, Academy Award nominees for sure. Best writing, best directing, best acting, best bullshit. And then here's the catch. They will then go on to list all the things that were wrong with it. How can you do both? How can you list the same problems that I have? How can you, as someone else giving it a review, say it kind of reminded me of Young Rock, and then tell me it's an Academy Award worthy film?
Yeah, because Young Rock sucked.
Well, so did this in many ways. Now, it's not total trash. I'm more against it now because every damn review I'm seeing, I feel like it's bought and paid for because it can't legitimately be like this. And I'm going to show you something in a minute that anchors why I'm so angry right now. If people would have given it a fair review, I'd be fine with it. And I think I'm the only one that did give it a fair review. And one person commented on it.
I will say this. I did see.
I'm probably getting spoiled by it. But, you know, trying to make a movie out of the subject of the Con Era is going to be a tricky task no matter what. It's not going to be easy to do at all. So I give them credit for what they've done, but it could have been a little bit better.
Well, it could have been a lot better.
I was going to say, I did see one guy who gave it a pretty low review, and it was all because the clip he showed of the guy playing Ric Flair, I don't know who the fuck it was, but they could have got Jay Lethal or somebody else to fucking play it.
Man would have done a better impression of Ric Flair. That's the truth.
Right. And I'm just like, oh God, I'll still go see it because I want to see it. So I can, see the whole thing all the way through. But if that's any indication of the overall of the movie, I don't blame you guys for giving it like low reviews, because that was hard to fucking go through, and that was only like a 3-minute clip from the fucking movie.
And again, I'm not going to see it until it comes out on Blu-ray or something, so I'm just going to wait. So,
well, at the end of the day, yeah, I was going to say, I don't even know that I'll get the Blu-ray or anything when it comes out, because do I think it's worth watching once? Sure. Is it something I'll ever watch twice? I don't think so. I really don't. I mean, I can watch The Wrestler with Mickey Rourke right now, no problem. And then I can watch it next week again, and I'd be okay with it. Man, you'd have to have a gun on me to watch this again this week. All right. Like I said, a lot of people gave this thing very glowing reviews. One guy in particular, and I had to do a screen capture of this because I'm like, all right, clearly somebody in the theater brought a steel chair and hit this guy in the head. because no rational human being comes up with a 93 score. 9 out of 10 story, 10 out of 10 acting. What? Directing 9 out of 10, and I'll talk about some of the stuff I already mentioned in my review, but I'll talk about a couple of things. Pacing 8 out of 10, visuals 9 out of 10. What? God. Target audience 9 out of 10, resonate 10 out of 10, entertainment or emotional value 29 out of 30. All right, this is somebody who does not leave the house. You cannot score these. I like this the breakdown of the point system. I kind of like that. I might even steal it and use it. But why? I'm sorry. I'm still laughing as I look at it. There is I mean, if this ain't bought and paid for by the studio, it's the only thing that makes sense to me. The story, almost everyone knows it is going. I can't believe there's that many people that'll go to see this movie and have no idea about wrestling or who the hell are the Von Erichs. Well, I shouldn't. You see, but that's not entirely true either, and I know that, and I shouldn't say that because there is someone who didn't know anything about the Von Erichs.
I mean, for me, this is great because it was an era where that music means a lot to me, and that was when, as a kid, I was into this wrestling world. Were you? I was, but I think maybe a little after the story of these Von Erichs, which is this is sort of late 70s, early 80s. This is a real-life wrestling family.
Yes.
Did you know anything about them before?
I knew nothing. I had such peripheral knowledge of professional wrestling. I had some friends into it when I was young. I never got into it. So my introduction to professional wrestling was through the Von Erichs.
And then your other introduction is you had to become Carrie Von Erich. So your first introduction to this person is they showed you a picture.
They showed, Sean, the director, said, hey, I want you to do this movie about these brothers, these wrestlers. Really, I was like, amazing. I love this. Let's talk about it. He was like, okay, I want you to play Carrie. So I was like, all right, I'll Google Carrie Von Erich. And I did.
And then this came up.
It's a large man.
Yeah. Because people can get in shape for roles, but
I can get in shape for a role.
But people can't get taller.
No, I can't. I told Sean I can try to act that big.
Yeah.
But I don't know if I can act, 2 feet taller.
Yeah.
200 pounds more, it would.
So here's a guy playing Carrie Von Erich, didn't know who the hell he was, and basically tells the director, I don't know if I can really pull this off. I'll try. And you're going to tell me what? 10 out of 10 acting. Shut the fuck up.
Okay, I have to agree. I have to agree with that. I mean, I can understand maybe they don't know much about old school wrestling and stuff, but just watching that interview was
painful.
Yeah, it was annoying. Not painful, but annoying as hell.
That's another good word.
Yeah, because if you have no interest in what wrestling is, how are you going to portray a wrestler?
I mean, you can actually try to actually get into the mindset of the wrestler or the character or the person and stuff. I mean, you can do as much research as you want, but if you're not interested in doing that, it's just like, what's the point?
Yeah. Well, go back to, like you said, Vince, the movie The Wrestler. Mickey Rourke actually had watched wrestling in the 80s, 90s, so he knew about the fucking sport. At least he had a working knowledge of what these guys did. Sounds like this guy didn't even have that.
So, and a fictitious character and a fictitious backdrop. I was more into his character because you had the whole thing with his daughter going on, and then you had the thing with Marissa Tomei going on, and then you had the fact that he just can't get out of the ring, even though it's probably going to cost him his friggin' life.
Right.
And at this point in time, you kind of felt it.
Yeah.
They were halfway home before the movie ever started because most of us already know the story, already know the wrestlers from watching them over the years. So we're already emotionally involved. You guys just got to take it home. And damn, I mean, again, I wish you guys had seen it already, just so I could see if I'm a man on an island or not, because I'm starting to feel like that.
Honestly, I need to watch it first before I decide, but I love The Wrestler. I was probably not the right age to watch it. I was still a teenager in high school watching it, but I felt more invested in Mickey Rourke's character than it made me respect like the wrestlers who were from that era and still trying to recapture
Right.
that.
Yeah, and he
It
did
made me
it
respect.
bringing it to life.
Yeah,
And these guys who already had actual live people to draw from.
right. I mean, Mickey Rourke's character was fictitious. I mean, he was not based. Oh, well, he was based on other wrestlers, but he was a totally original character.
Right.
You guys are like the Von Erichs are real. I've been a fan of like classic 80s wrestling since I was a kid. I had the Von Erichs DVDs. I mean, the Von Erich World Class DVD from the WWE. And I also had, what was it? I also had like the classic Superstar Wrestling DVD sets. The ones that go for like $100 now. I had that.
Right.
They had like Booker T, Jeff Jarrett, and other wrestlers and stuff. And Steve Austin also.
Yep.
Early Steve Austin. But like, it got me really wanting to know more about the wrestling and stuff.
Well, this
Like,
movie is
like-
the antidote. And by the way, that interview, it's not over yet. Hold on.
And Kevin, who Zach plays,
Yeah.
I know he was involved, and obviously there are other Von Erichs who are still with us. Was sharing the film with them and having their hands in it, that must have been a very important piece of it.
That was major, yeah. Kevin Von Erich is still with us, and he wasn't incredibly involved in the process of filming, but he did give Sean Durkin, our director, his blessing. And all he asked was to make sure that it was clear how much he loved his brothers and how much they loved one another. As long as you do that, I'll enjoy the film, And I think Sean delivered on that, and it was something that Zach and Harris and Stanley and I, who play all the brothers, were aware of through the process of making it. Like, if we can just like forge this bond and make it feel true and honest, then we've done a good job.
So the living brother is around, is available, and you didn't use him? He wasn't on set?
Was he like only available through like calls or Zoom calls?
No, they never used him other than to get his blessing. He stayed, as the guy just said, he didn't really have anything to do with it.
Oh my God.
If I'm the director of this freaking movie, if I'm the studio of this movie, I'm not moving forward if Kevin's not part of it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, you're trying to create as faithful of a retelling. I mean, almost as faithful as the retelling. I'm not going to get into like the youngest brother of the Von Erichs, but I'm talking about like you're trying to create a faithful retelling of the Von Erich tragedy, and you don't get the living brother to be part of
first-hand
the
account.
That's what I'm saying. And here's the thing. So when you look at this, all right, the story, they give it a 9 out of 10. Okay. The story is the story that is, and it's tragic. And the real life story is a 9 out of 10 if you're telling a tragedy. Okay. This is like Greek style. This is the kind of stuff that Shakespeare could only dream about.
Yep.
A modern tragedy.
Acting, 10 out of 10. Okay. Now here's where we get really crazy. Zac Efron, I think, did a pretty damn good job. I've never seen him in any other movie. I've heard his name a million times. I know the young girls like him.
Was a former Disney Channel star.
Yeah, and I know. And then he's come up and he's been doing more and more movies. And a lot of people are saying this is a huge step for him. And because I have nothing else to refer to him by, that's probably good for me that I don't know about him being a Mickey Mouseketeer or any of that crap.
Yeah.
He clearly did work on his body, man. This guy looked like he can get in the ring and do his thing.
Oh yeah, I mean, he looks great in this film from what I've seen of the trailers.
And I would say, you can remember acting. I would say his performance was pretty solid. I mean, he does a lot of tearing up without saying words. Just remember that old commercial for litter way back in the 70s where somebody would drive by and throw something out the window and it would land on the street next to the Native American's feet and the camera panned up and he had that single tear coming out of his eye. He's doing that like 17 times in the movie. And I kept thinking back to this Indian chief on the roadside.
I was born in '93, so I have no clue what y'all talking about.
Okay, well, I
do though.
somewhere.
Yeah.
But that was a big campaign back in the 70s for not littering. You couldn't even run that campaign today because you'd be singled out for using a Native American, whatever. All right, so acting, the girl whose name, Lily something, I can't remember her last name right now. She did a real good job playing his wife, Pam, which, by the way, they're still married all these years later. 40 plus years later, they're still married, which that's nice to see. Wrestling business tends to break marriages apart. The way their relationship plays out on screen, that was cool. I felt there was a good banter between them, the way they met. There's a good chemistry. That part of the acting, I can get on board with. The dude who played Fritz, definitely he's way up there, did a great job of acting. You hate him. Okay. Very unlikable. The dude that played Kerry, not a particularly good actor. Well, maybe he's a good actor, but not in this role. The same way that interview came across, I'll try, but I'm not sure I can do it. That's the way the performance came across.
I honestly think he might have been miscast in this role.
A little.
I honestly think he might have been miscast.
I think he was in the dollar amount that they had, and he kind of had a look of Kerry, but not really.
He probably looked similar.
Barely.
Close enough.
Yeah, barely.
With quotation marks.
Then there's the dude that played David. I don't remember his name. It was an okay performance. I mean, the two that steal the show is Lily, who plays the wife of Kevin, and the guy Zac Efron, who plays Kevin. Those are the two, and Fritz. Okay, so those are the three that legitimately came to the show and did some acting. In my book, okay. Now, if we want to talk about the wrestlers, we had somebody that was Bruiser Brody, had very small part, speaking part. There's some resemblance to Bruiser Brody, but not a lot. I mean, he had a lot of bushy hair.
I really want a Bruiser Brody film.
What's that?
I want to see a Bruiser Brody film, like a biopic on the life and death of Bruiser Brody.
Well, depending on how this one does, maybe you will. Or not. It just depends. They're getting a lot of positive buzz, even though it's not necessarily legitimate in my book. So that might be enough to get them across the buy. I haven't seen the box office numbers yet. I should have looked it up before I went on because I'm kind of curious to know how they did.
I'm actually curious too.
Now we talk about directing. 9 out of 10. It's like I got to make sure I have an EKG machine standing nearby because I'm gonna have a freaking heart attack. If your director is hiring a guy to play one of your 3 major lead roles, and the guy's saying, I don't know if I can do this, then you're not going to get a 9 out of 10 as a director.
Right.
Here's the problem I've got, and I mentioned this in my review. They took over 2 hours of film time. If you're going to go 2 hours and 20 minutes with a movie, and I get it, that Von Erichs is a big story to tell, then you're not taking all these shortcuts. And what I'm talking about, and there's many examples throughout the film, but the one for me that and it's relatively early on, probably about 35, 40 minutes in, when David dies, spoiler alert, you don't, there's nothing. It literally, it's like they go from a scene where they're at Kevin's wedding and they're in a restroom talking, him and Kerry. David and Kerry are having a conversation, and was it Kerry or Kevin? Kevin, sorry. He and Kevin are having a conversation. And Kevin's explaining to him that, he's going to be an uncle. And he's like, oh, man, I'm so happy about that. And I'm like, yeah, you could just feel the emotion dripping off of him right now, can't you? And then the very next scene, they end on that conversation, cut right into a hard cut on the next scene. And it's the house in Texas, and Fritz is sitting down at the dining room table by himself, empty house. And here comes Kevin walking in, and he's like, "What's wrong?" "David's dead." I'm like, what the fuck? It's like you couldn't even show him in a hotel room collapsing or something like that, or like he goes to sleep and then the other wrestlers come in and can't wake him up. Something so we can feel connected to the moment.
Feels like a scene was missing there.
Yes.
It's like that's so insane. Like they couldn't actually add like a little scene there to bridge the gap.
There's more. It's not the only time. It's such
That's
a
for the
glaring
director.
hole. So now, and again, this is director 9 out of 10. I wish I had this guy on with us right now that gave these scores, because I would really want to just give him a full-on lobotomy and see what's going on there.
Damn.
It's ridiculous. So now you have the Kerry Von Erich. So I get you're going to take a little bit of freedom when it comes to crafting the story, because you got a lot of shit you got to tie in together. So you're going to take some liberties with facts. So Kerry Von Erich wins the championship from Ric Flair. Oh, we'll talk about Ric Flair. This is the one common thing that everyone is talking about, is how bad this guy was that played Ric Flair. We'll get to that in a minute.
I believe it.
We'll get to that in a minute. So Kerry wins the title from Flair and then goes out to celebrate on his motorcycle for a ride, goes out for a ride to unwind a little, and has the accident, which, of course, that's completely not how that happened. But, okay, whatever. My problem with it is they don't even show the accident. He's riding. Now, granted, if you're going to show the accident, you have to show him driving into a police car coming back from a drug deal. So that might not fit well with the rest of the story. They also never introduced the fact that he's married and has kids. That never gets brought up at all. But the scene basically is him on a motorcycle, but you don't even see that. Imagine you're riding a motorcycle in a video game, first person. So all you see are the handlebars and the headlight shining on the street. And he's riding down the street, and then there's an oncoming car at one point, and that's it. You never even hear screeching, collision sounds, nothing. Hard cut, come back. He's now in the kitchen, hobbling on crutches, and as he clears one of the counters, you see that he's missing his lower leg.
That
Hello?
doesn't make any sense.
And you're giving 9 out of 10 for a direction?
That's dumb.
Let me see if anyone in the chat has seen this movie.
Now I'm curious what Ric Flair looks like in this movie.
Oh, dude, just go to the trailer. See, I knew. All right, you perfect segue.
Yeah.
I knew from the trailer. I said, this is going to go one of two ways. Because in the trailer, they only show Flair for 2 seconds.
Yep.
As he's coming through the road.
Like I said.
And I froze framed that sumbitch. And I said, wait a minute. What's wrong here? And I looked at it as, that's fucking Young Rock bullshit.
Yeah, like I said, the guy I watched on on Twitter, he showed like the promo that he was doing with like Jim Ross, and I'm sitting there cringing every time he's trying to woo and do the whole Space Mountain, and I'm just like, oh, for the love of Christ, make it stop.
It was so awkwardly and then they give this guy. So you have the Freebirds. They looked really good. They looked really, really good.
I remember them in the trailer, and they did look really good.
Yep. No speaking time, though. The Ric Flair guy, they gave him a full promo, and it was one of Flair's famous promos.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Look.
They should have dubbed the original promo and him lip sing it.
No, because he didn't even look right, man. He's all like drawn out in the face, and he's skinny. That's like
I understand that.
My biggest commentary on him is the robe is holding him up. He's not holding the robe up. That's how it looks. And I'm thinking to myself, guys, if you bought a real wig, I mean, there's Elvis wigs out there that look legit. Now you got to pay about $400 for one if you're an Elvis imitator. But I'm just saying that they look legit. So I guarantee you somewhere you can buy a Ric Flair wig and spend $500 and it will look like Ric Flair in the 70s. That's number one they should have done. At that point, I could have played the fucking role better. I look more like him than that guy does. Put the robe on me. All right, we're good to go. As long as I didn't have to, get into tights or anything, because that's when the whole, that's when the glory of the TV. And here was the good thing, though. I could have got away with it because then they cut to a clip of the actual wrestling match. So they never showed you the Ric Flair guy wrestling.
So instead of just recreating the scene, they just cut to the actual match.
Yes. Very briefly, too, by the way, because obviously, I guess you got to pay for royalties and whatever the case may be on that.
That is cheap. That is cheap.
And they do that at least 2 or 3 different times in the movie.
That is cheap.
Well, now I know.
Stupid.
But it's my point. It's like there are so many people out there that can do a better Ric Flair impersonation than this guy. And yeah, he wasn't even wearing the robe for the promo. He had the old the checkered jacket and shirt thing going on from back in the 70s.
Right.
I can rock that tab collar shit. The only thing I need is the wig. Other than that, I'll take care of the rest. Movie Collector has a great point. It's an A24 film. I didn't know what A24 was, but I now have a better idea. And I guess they're kind of a hot commodity in the movie industry right now. A couple of movies of theirs have done really well. And I guess the young folks are kind of just feeling their vibe.
I've never heard of them.
Well, I don't know what else they've done, but I do now know that they've done at least a couple other movies. Kind of sounds like back in the day when Quentin Tarantino was coming up, and you had Pulp Fiction, but after that, everything was gold because Pulp Fiction was gold.
Yeah.
Although in his case, his stuff was gold.
Yeah. He could direct.
Movie Collector says it was okay. Buddy, if you want to join the conversation, I'd like to pick your brain a little bit more about what qualifies, like what you're okay with and what you like with these numbers here, where you agree. Pacing, at least he was in the ballpark with an 8 out of 10. I would probably go closer to 6 because again, they're rushing by cutting scenes out that should have been in. So how are you pacing the movie? You're pushing it now because we're running out of time.
Right.
The visuals, again, they don't show him dying in the hotel room. They don't show the motorcycle accident. So far as I'll give them credit for this, the Sportatorium recreation, freaking phenomenal.
I actually like how the Sportatorium looks. I actually really wish it was still around.
Yep.
Because I would love to visit it. Sadly, it's no longer around, so.
Right. Well, I'm over here in Florida. I never got to go to Eddie Graham. Wish I could have. Some people were hitting the pipe while watching this movie. Honestly, if I remember this guy's YouTube channel, I'd throw it up there just so y'all can see this video of his, but I don't remember his name.
I don't particularly care.
Yeah. I just remember losing my mind.
Not my thing.
Again, the Von Erichs looked pretty good for the most part. One of them was a pretty good actor. One of them was a pretty bad actor. And like I said, the Ric Flair just, oh my God, it was so cringe. Over the top cringe. The target audience, yeah, okay, well, 9 out of 10. That should have been a 10 out of 10. I mean, the target audience is wrestling fans, of course.
Right.
Does it resonate? Well, in my case, it sure did. I want to know where my $20 went.
I want a refund. I was like,
I mean, look, to say resonate, no. I mean, their life story resonates because it was real. I mean, it still resonates because of what happened 30 years ago. Bruiser Brody still resonates.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's why I brought him up.
I mean, I could honestly say that about the wrestler. That resonates, and that was not a real character.
Right.
Right.
Entertainment or emotional value, 29 out of 30. No. No. Emotional value. You never get connected to these guys. They don't give it time to.
Well, that's what you were saying. I mean, maybe that score would be appropriate if they would have showed the motorcycle accident. They would have showed what happened with David. You know, those are the things that let you, like you said, connect with the characters. And if you don't have those moments, then you're watching a 2 hour and 20-minute wrestling show.
And it's a cross between Young Rock and Dark Side of the Ring. That's what you got. That's what you got.
A hell of a combo right there.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not to say that it's a piece of crap. Don't go see it. I'm just saying it ain't no damn 93 by any stretch of anyone's imagination. And if this was the only guy I saw saying that, then I wouldn't even be paying any attention to it. But as I'm going after another, and now I'm down the rabbit hole where I'm going to all these friggin' reviews. And because I've done like 5, 6, 7, 8 of them, now it just keeps on popping up on my homepage every time I get onto YouTube. And I'm like, I've got to find somebody else out there that knows the Emperor is naked. And other than a guy who commented on my review video who said, I'm glad to finally hear someone else say it. I'm like, well, me too. It's like he and I are right now on this island all by ourselves. And I'm trying to figure out what the fuck everyone else is drinking and where can I get some? Am I saying the nanny is better than this? I am not saying that because the nanny is not better than this. I am saying this is not an Academy Award winning film. Zack Efron might even get nominated. It's possible. I mean, you got to remember the Academy Award is it's like being in the Hall of Fame in the WWE. It doesn't really exist. It's a bunch of old actors that just decide their favorites are going to win. That's all it is. So they may end up seeing this, and enough palms may get greased. And I remember when Kevin Spacey was up for, I think, the Hollywood movie there, and he was going to the senior home of the actors and bringing them donuts and stuff like that to get their votes. And of course he won. Holy shit. So the Academy is not anything that's an actual measurable body. It's a favoritism category. That's all there is to it. And that's why certain people win a lot and other people never win any. So that all said, the emotional value, I think to myself, there are a couple of movies. One I just watched again the other night that immediately come to mind for me. Titanic, which I still say is probably the greatest movie ever made when it comes to the big screen. When I saw that the first time, I said, this is why they made movie theaters, was for this film. Because the size, the grandeur of it all, the detail. And again, these are fictitious characters, but how are you not buying into these characters? And at the end, how are you not emotional on what's happening? And not even just for the two main characters, but again, you know, this is a true story. This really happened. All these poor people were stuck either in cabins or on hanging on the back of the ship. And now, because of what they told for 2.5 hours going into the third hour, you feel it. You're connected and you can put yourself in their position. And yeah, that movie, if I watch it again today, by the time I get in that last 20 minutes, where's the tissue? I just watched the other night, and this is probably the other greatest movie of all time. It's a Wonderful Life with Jimmy Stewart. It's my every year I gotta watch it at least once, and it's in December. And I'm at that point now where, because I know how the whole movie plays out, that the character and the messaging and all that, and I'm at the 30-minute mark, and I'm like, holy shit, already? Because of how they make you feel connected to that character. And again, these are fictitious people. They didn't come even remotely close. Those two movies I just mentioned, those are 29 out of 30s.
Right.
This movie, based on that as a barometer, is a 10 out of 30. I didn't see, and by the way, I went opening day Friday, and I went at 12:40 in the afternoon. Well, the show was supposed to start at 12:40. They didn't even start showing coming attractions until 1:05. And I'm like, what the fuck?
Damn.
I thought I went in the wrong theater by accident or something like that. I had to walk out for a minute and make sure I'm in the right theater because I did that once before.
We all have.
Thank you. I feel better.
I have.
And yeah, I'm like, nothing's happening here. Not only am I not, if I was crying, it's about the $20. Okay. If we're going to be honest. But I was more like, oh, please tell me that's it and it's over. Okay, thank you. Bye. I got to go. The Von Erichs were Texas wrestling next to the Funks, the Blanchards, and the Rhodes. Yep. Of course. I mean, you can't talk about Texas wrestling and not talk about the Von Erichs.
Right.
The first family of Texas wrestling. It's sad they didn't cross over into the bigger programs better. And I give full credit, though, to the real life Kerry Von Erich. I mean, I was a big fan of his, especially when he came to the WWF and was a Texas Tornado Intercontinental title run and all that. Loved Kerry Von Erich. Had no freaking clue the man didn't have a foot.
Right.
It's like even now I'll go back and watch his WWF stuff and I'll be sitting there going, no fucking kidding. I mean, Zach Gowen, of course, had a little bit bigger challenge because he didn't have a leg.
Right.
But I'm just saying, for Kerry to do what he did, how he did
after the fact.
Yeah, and kept that secret too, because almost everyone in the locker room did not know.
I was going to say it probably was about 5 years ago that I finally found out that's how it was. And like I did the same thing. I went back and watched his matches. I was like, are you fucking shitting me? Really?
Oh, yeah. Well, like I said, emotional value. There was... And I was starting to say that for a matinee on Friday before Christmas, I would guess there was probably 12 to 14 people, which that's not bad under the circumstances. Right. And it's not like they've had a lot of TV spots. And you are basically relying on wrestling fans. I can tell you everyone in there was a wrestling fan. I can tell you that.
Right.
Just because, they was wrestling fans.
Oh crap!
Not one of them was crying when it was over because I did look. I could tell there were gonna be people saying it's a tearjerker or something like that. And I'm like, no, there was no emotion in this. How can you have emotion when the guy's sitting there telling you, I don't know if I can do it or not? Imagine if your surgeon came into the operating room right before you got under anesthesia. I'm gonna try, man. I can't promise.
Gonna do my best.
Yeah, I really. Yes, I
it's like testing your faith in a surgeon if that surgeon was Dr. Nick from The Simpsons.
Right.
Well, I think Dr. Nick from The Simpsons might have been the director for this movie.
Hi, everybody.
Oakley Dokley.
Oh, God.
Oh, you can't write this shit. You really can't. Well, maybe we'll do another one of these things down the road once everyone has seen it, just so I can have some redemption in my world and have 20 people saying, you're right, it wasn't good. Doesn't mean it was bad. It just wasn't good.
And I'm going to be like, just wondering, what did I watch?
I mean, I could probably go on for another half hour if I really gave half an. I'm just.
It just ain't worth it at this point.
93. I guess. Shit. In what world? I think
that's his
brother.
Bizarre World? Canada?
I just can't, man. I just can't do it. It hurts my brain sometimes to see stupid people. Well, the good news is now I can delete those clips once and for all, including that score that's been on my freaking laptop just waiting for this episode of WrestleChat. And maybe I can try and bleach it out of my mind at the same time that it ever existed. I don't know if that'll work or not, but I'm going to try.
Just drink it away.
Well, Retro, I thank you so much for joining us today. It was great having you on, and yes, everything worked fine.
This is my first time actually doing a stream in a long time, so I'm glad you let me join. I mean,
absolutely. I'd like to have you back again, man. You did a really good job out there. Came up with some key words when we needed them.
I do have a question, though.
Yeah, what's that?
Yes, we wear pants while we're on screen.
We do?
Wait,
I do.
Wait, we do?
Oh,
well,
okay.
one of us wears
Guess I'm the
pants while
minority.
we're on screen.
I didn't know that was a requirement.
It's not in my book.
No, I was wondering, like, if y'all could, like, I was just having a talk to someone on Discord the other day, like, about the worst wrestling promotion of this year. Like, what do you
AEW.
guys
Contest for that?
I brought up the NWA because of the failed network deal.
Well, that's because they let them do fucking coke during a pay-per-view. That's why they lost the network deal.
They were barely on it to
Thank you.
begin with, quite honestly.
Like, I'm surprised the NWA is still around.
They're not. I mean, they have a program, but what, 20 people watching it? I mean, come on. They've gone. They were doing well right up until COVID, and that's no fault of their own there. But
No,
you
it's
look at
not.
places like Impact Wrestling, and they excelled during COVID.
Yeah.
But then
So
you
it's not
had
an
the
excuse.
issue of, like, poor booking and
Oh God, horrible booking.
and also the point of having Tyrus as world champion.
There's your booking. I mean, I like Tyrus a lot. I'm, anyone who watches this channel knows I'm a right winger, and I like him on Fox News when I used to watch Fox News. So I like what he says. I like most of his opinions. I got nothing against the guy. I got to meet him once way back in the beginning when it was Florida Championship Wrestling still before they switched over to NXT. In my book, he's a cool dude. But the man could barely walk into the ring, and they got the NWA Championship on him. And then they left it on him for how long?
Months.
And then how long
Yeah.
before that was he the TV champion? Over a year.
Yikes.
Yeah.
So he was one of your top two champions, and he never lost that. He gave that belt up because he became the NWA World Champion. So
Right.
he was your champion for over 2 years.
Oh, God.
I'm like, really? Because you got some other talent in there that can wrestle.
You got good talent. It's just how they are directing the talent is the problem. It's also just poor writing and just poor decision making from Corgan.
Oh,
I mean,
he has shot himself in the foot every chance. It's almost
I
like
have no faith in Corgan.
No,
I have no faith in that jackass. And I was watching the NWA when they first started NWA 5. Whatever it's called. At this point, I actually unsubscribed from them recently because I was just so done with it.
I was one of the guys that actually paid for their monthly subscription so I could watch it all, get all the pay-per-views and all that kind of stuff. And then it's like, for what, man? It's crap.
I mean, it ain't worth it. It ain't worth it.
No. And the other thing they did, in my opinion, which was suicide, the only thing they had going for them was the NWA and the fact that they replicated the old studio.
Right.
Well, they kind of did away with most of that. Then they went to a black and white ring apron, like they're the NWO now or some shit, instead of having the blue with the yellow letters. I mean, you were falling back on tradition of the NWA, of their titles. You're bringing back the United States Championship, which was the old red belt with the big U.S. gold buckle. And then you're going to take away the blue and gold and replace it with black and gray.
I mean, what's the point of that? I mean, you're just alienating what you already established.
Well,
You're just.
I feel like he already kind of did that before that anyway and just figured, what the fuck? It doesn't matter anymore.
Fair enough.
I mean, I didn't stop watching because when I stopped watching, they were still blue with yellow letters. Okay, so it wasn't that for me. It's when I tried to go back and give them another chance, and I see black and gray, and I'm like, nope, I'm done. It's like the only thing you had going for you was nostalgia, mixed with today's younger guys and girls. You know, even what they were doing with Camille, I thought was pretty good. Now she's dropped the belt, and is she doing anything?
Not the last I saw.
I haven't heard anything in a while.
And I got a funny feeling the WWE is not even going to take her. because she got better, but not that much. She's not in the category of a Bailey or Charlotte or Bianca. I mean, she's not even close to that. She's not even Tiffany Stratton. She's not Fallon Henley. She's just not there. That just means she could be a champion in AEW. But my point being, and that's why my initial reaction was to say that AEW is the worst promotion of the year. And I'm still not sure that's not true. Because Billy has gone from being crap to being crap. He's still selling his 20 and 30 and 50 and 60 tickets. The AEW was filling up arenas and now has to push everyone away from the hard camera, so it looks like it might be full.
Right.
So I still say AEW is the worst promotion of the year, based on what they've lost. Yeah, NWA lost the TV deal, but they never really had it officially. It was almost there.
Yeah, but it's just the point that they almost had it, and then they blew it.
Yeah.
I mean, you lost it to WWE. WWE is going to be doing NXT to CW in 2024.
Right.
You guys had the golden opportunity to one-up WWE, and you blew it.
I don't think they would have one-upped anything, but they were the more affordable option.
Right. They were the cheap option.
While the WWE is now going to take that spot, and obviously Warner Bros. Is going to pay a little bit more for the option, they're going to get a lot more eyes than they would have had with the NWA, and they know that. I mean, there's a reason why NWA was going to get paid a fraction of that money, because they knew nobody was going to watch it. It's like we would have turned in just for a curiosity factor. Okay, he's on national TV. What's he going to do? And he would have shit the bed in front of everybody, and we'd have been done.
Honestly, I don't think he would be able to even do that right.
So, yeah, I mean, having E3 as your champion is a step up from where it was. But even he's not, he's not E3 that was in Impact, TNA. Hell, he was a champion before they were Impact. Oh, we just lost him.
Yeah.
Well, maybe that's our cue. Good having him on, though, man. I definitely want to have you back on again. So make sure you join us again. All right. This went on longer than I was anticipating for two subjects. Oh, wait, he's back. Hold on. There he goes.
Well, I just did a blunder.
Did you click the wrong button?
Froze, and I was trying to figure out why it keeps freezing. Stupid me clicked on the exit button.
Oh, that'll work. That'll unfreeze it.
But, like, what the hell? I need to get off anyway.
Yeah, I was going to say, we're going to wrap this thing up. I try to keep this to an hour usually, and here we are, an hour and 20 minutes now. So,
that's why I get to be here. I make
no, like I said, we both felt there was a good chemistry going on here with this. So, by all means.
Hey, I hope to do this again some other time.
Oh, yeah, definitely. You're on Twitter, right?
I locked my Twitter account. I got done with the BS over there.
Because what I normally do is I'll send out a link before we go on, because I don't always know when I'm going to go on. I don't always publish it like I did here today. Like today is kind of an open forum. Anyone wants to jump on, but I'd be able to send you one if you were somehow on, even if you want to make up
restart my Twitter account. That's not the issue. I was just basically done with all the stuff going on in 2023. I still want 2024 to start because I'm just like done with this year.
Dude, I say that all the time. I don't understand why people celebrate New Year's Eve. It's like, oh, because next year's going to be better. But then you come back 365 fucking days later saying, oh, God, let the next year because it's got to be better. When are you ever going to have a better year?
Thank you. Jesus Christ, thank you.
I don't celebrate New Year's Eve. I stay home. It's like, what the fuck? It was a shitty year. I have nothing to make me believe this year's going to be better. Quite honestly, I'm of the opinion that this might be the last year we have on the planet Earth.
I don't like to believe that, but I like to think just next year can't be as stupid as the last.
Oh, dude, that's a worse.
Oh, yes, it can. You done screwed us there.
You probably don't realize this, but Joe Biden watches this, and right now he's like, "Hold my beer."
Hey, I'm not.
I got you. I got you, dog.
I ain't into politics, my friends. Everyone in my family knows I am the last person you want to get into politics. I do not care for it. So I just want to put that out there.
I got you.
I don't care what side you're on. I don't care what side you're on. I just don't care for it.
No, I got you. And I used to be that way myself until it got to the point where it's crunching into my paycheck and my food bill and everything else. And at some point in time, I was like, I just can't sit back. But I understand where you're coming from. I got a lot of friends that are of the same mindset.
I'm just like,
I get it. And I actually envy them. One of my closest friends, she just lives in this perpetual world of her life and her family and her stuff, and has absolutely no care, concern, or knowledge of what's happening in Washington or even in Tallahassee here in Florida. No idea. And I'm like, but it affects you. I'm just going around. I'm doing my job, getting my paycheck.
Doing our own thing. We're trying to live our lives. We're trying to live the best life we could have, and that's the whole point of existing. Just trying to make
that. I agree with that. I guess my point is, I don't worry about me so much. I mean, I'm at that point where I know I'm looking down over the top of the hill to the bottom. Okay, I've already done that part of my life. It's not like I've got years ahead. I haven't reached the top of the mountain yet. I've reached the top of the mountain. I might even be a little bit on the other side for all I know. But I used to coach for 16 years. So I got what I call my kids. And I knew even then that they were never going to have a normal childhood, the kind that I had. But I couldn't have envisioned the world we're living in and how out of touch it's become. And I want them to have the same opportunities or better than I had. I want their kids, because they're not having kids. So now some of them have 2-year-olds, 4-year-olds. And I'm thinking to myself, how is this kid having a normal life and the way things are going? So I don't expect them to do anything to change it. But what else do I got to do right now other than do something to make me feel like it matters one way or another, whether it's getting a word out to people, whether it's, sending money to certain events or charities or not charities, but different groups that are going to hopefully be able to change the direction that we're heading, because we're not heading in a good direction for future generations. So yeah, I wish I could do what she does. I really do. I envy her.
I respect that.
So, all right. Well, hey, interesting note to wrap things up on, but it was good. So, like I said, if you do decide to turn on, you don't got to look at any of that other stuff. If you get your Twitter back fired up, or your X, I guess they call it now.
Screw that. It's still Twitter to me.
I call it Twitter.
Right. Yeah.
I didn't realize that when they switched to X, I was like a month after the X thing, and on the computer here, I would always see XXX, but on my phone, it was still the little blue bird.
Yeah.
I didn't realize this because I hadn't updated the app. As soon as I updated the app, I killed the bird, and I got the X, and I was like, damn it, I like the bird.
Yeah.
How does a tweet tie into X? But anyway, we're under the One Nation Network. It's all one word, the number one, and then Nation Network, and then the N at the end of Nation and is the first letter also for network, so they kind of share the N in the middle.
I might message you. I might try to get back on my Twitter account in the next few days. But I'm still looking for someone to come up with a new logo for my channel. I mean, not for my show. I'm thinking about changing it from Pro Wrestling USA to Pro Wrestling America.
Okay.
So it doesn't lead to confusion.
Right.
I mean, a lot of people know like Pro Wrestling USA is, but like, I don't want to confuse people with the content I'm doing.
Oh, Lord knows there's a lot of guys out there. What are you saying, Jay?
I was going to say there's people confused out there anyway, so it really doesn't matter.
Well, what I was going to say is there's a lot of guys on Twitter, especially if you get into some of the like-minded folks with the 2K products, for example, the video games.
Right.
And they're really good about helping out. If you say, hey, anybody interested in helping out? I need a logo for this. Somebody will design something for you for free.
Yep.
See, I'm too nervous to ask that sometimes. So I have to at least know the
Well,
person.
you just did.
Well, yeah, but I at least know you.
No, I'm saying everyone who's watching right now and who picks it
Right.
up over the next several days. So now they know. But how are they going to get hold of you if you don't have Twitter up and running?
Fair enough.
I tell you what,
Fair enough.
Retro, I tell you what, I'll do you one better.
Uh-oh.
Get back on Twitter, contact me I'm the same here as I am on Twitter, JRock73. And I will go to my brother who's a commercial artist, and I'll get him to design a logo for you.
Really? Thanks.
Really.
He's got a lot of dirt on his brother,
gift
so
to
he can
you for
manipulate him.
such a great interview today. No, I mean, he's a wrestling fan just like us, and I'm sure you give me like the details of how your ideas for it, and I'll pass them on to him, and I'll get him to design it for you and get it back to you.
Cool.
Well, there.
I will try to log into Twitter sometime tonight or tomorrow, and I'll start doing that.
All right. Yeah, send me a message so
Okay,
I have you.
not a
and
problem.
Like I said, I'll add you to the list of
Yep.
people that I send these out to.
Okay, cool.
Like I said, I wish I had a set schedule. I don't. And matter of fact, after this week, hey, caramba, the month of January is going to be absolute beast for me at work. I don't know if by the time I get home, I'll probably be dead tired. I don't know. So I have no idea what kind of schedule I'll be keeping for January when it comes to this kind of stuff.
And for me
Right.
personally, it's like depends if I have the house to myself. I live with family and stuff, so it really depends if I have the time to order to do this. Today, I had the time to do it, so
And it
I'm
worked
glad
out.
I did it. Though.
Yeah, me too, man. It was good. All right, Jay, anything you
Yep.
want to say before we get out of here?
Hallelujah! Holy shit! Where's the Tylenol?
All right. Hope everyone had a very Merry Christmas and have a very safe New Year. We'll probably not see you on WrestleChat until 2024. So with that said, say goodbye, Jay.
Goodbye, Jay.
All right. We'll see you all next time right here for more WrestleChat. A little bit of AEW, not a lot. Just enough to remind me why I don't watch it. Oh, this is already funny. Just the headline. The list of moves and actions that are now banned from AEW or need to be approved by the company.
Maybe that's why Nash is pissed off, because he went for Brock and Austin and not try to duplicate him.
Well, it'd be easier to duplicate him. You only have to learn 5 moves.
Like you said, and we've all been saying, Tony Khan, you need a hierarchy, and he gets one, and then we make fun of it.
Because he's sitting back there talking about the Brock match, and it's finally we had a wrestling match. Finally, we got 2 guys telling a story. They weren't outside in the ring the whole time. One of them
Was he not watching the same match as we were?
Yeah, those games, man, I would say, like, for me, like, the best ones, I would say, are, like, the ones where they try to get a certain, like, time.
This is my entire IT team right here on screen, everybody.